Yep.
Died.
Yep, but that was in the A-frame, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you just went around there. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It
It's
wasn't.
gonna come in and it's gonna work for us.
Which I don't know how you can there, except that.
It was-
It's still 32.
Yeah, and I got, yeah, yeah, I know.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we used to take our kayaks up and sell off the other side of the pole. But the only way to, you've got to. What? You know what I mean? Because going down along that night.
All right, good evening, everyone. The time is 7:05 PM. I apologize for the late start. We're having issues with our YouTube live stream, but we're up and running now. So we can go ahead and get started with the April 9th, 2024 Montoursville Area School Board meeting. I ask you all, please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, roll call, please.
Mr. Albert,
Here.
Mr. Badger,
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Here.
Mr. Gardner.
Here.
Mr. Housen.
Here.
Ms. Lavoy. Here. Mrs. Mata. Here. Mrs. Oberheim. Here. And Mr. Young is absent.
Okay, before we press on with tonight's meeting, we're going to pause for a quick executive session for some contractual talks. Those are all personnel issues that we don't talk in a public forum here. So we're going to just step out into the hallway just for a couple minutes. Won't take very long, and we'll step back in and we'll pick right back up where we left off. Shall return.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish you would. She thinks they're lying. Yeah, he was.
You wrote this. Not that.
Okay.
All right, we are back. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. We'll just pick up right where we left off. So we have any recognitions and presentations on the evening? Does not look like it. Student representatives, presentations, ma'am? Very well. They're good, though. We love them. They're awesome. Thank you. It's my highlight of the night. All right, so we'll move on to item 2, reading of the minutes. 2.1, approval for regular meeting minutes for the March 12th, 2024 work session minutes, March 26th, 2024. I'll take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, the ayes have that. Moving on to prior presentation period. We have Pastor Larry Leland here from Faith United Methodist Church. Not here tonight, so we do not have Pastor. Right. Do we have Susan Wise for mock trial? All right. I know she, I love her.
Mr. T will tell you, I never miss a chance
You
to
just
brag
did.
about the mock trial team.
He literally just did.
So since many of you are new and haven't been graced with our presentation before, the mock trial team here at the high school has 19 students on it. You're only seeing a portion of them here tonight because 1/3 of our team is currently down at FBLA States where they are competing. I've got multiple students that were out on the track because they're in track and field, and a few of them that are holding down jobs. So for the rest of us, we're here to represent all of them. In addition to the students and myself, I'm the teacher coach. We also have Nicole Ippolito, who has been our lawyer coach and has worked with us for the past 8 years through COVID and everything else. And that has been great because this year we finally got everything back to where we were before COVID hit. And this team made it all the way to states. They were impressive. So in January, we attended the University of Pittsburgh's Cathedral Classic, where we started out ranked 41. That was based on our performance there last year, which was our first year at Pitt. We ended the weekend number 1 with 2 students bringing home recognitions for outstanding witnesses and one entire team standing there going, okay, we've got an honorable mention. And they're all like, that's going to be us. And they didn't, and their heads went down. And then they listened to third, and they listened to second, and first place was announced, and it was this delayed response. And they're like, that's us. And everybody then went crazy, and we had a great time with that. Then January and February were our district competitions. We have to compete out Center County Courthouse because up till this year, we have been the only school in an 8-county radius that has been doing mock trial. Jersey Shore finally fielded a team again for the first time in years, and Nicole and I are supposed to meet with a teacher who is interested in bringing it to Montgomery, so we may finally get to compete in our own territory again. If not, we will continue to compete out in Bellefonte. So then we got through February, we had the district playoff against State College, and for the first time in years, we handed them a nice sound defeat, which felt really great. And then we moved into the Regional 4 playoffs. We won. That put us into the top 10 schools in the state. This year, there were 264 schools with teams in the state, and we ended up in the top 10, which felt really wonderful. And then March 22nd, we traveled to Harrisburg. We did compete in the state championships. We did not make the playoff rounds, but it was amazing to watch these guys and everything that they did. The one team they went up against went on to become the state champions, and they held their own against them, which is impressive to watch. So we're going to be graduating 6 seniors off the team this year. And I'm going to be very sorry to see all of them go because they have been a serious backbone for this team since their freshman year. I also have to comment on the fact what a great showing we have had of parents this year. We have had parents who have traveled to watch these kids compete. When we were down in Harrisburg, we had parents who came, who had taken the day off of work. Other parents who, as soon as work was over, they hightailed it to Harrisburg so they could be there. Even if they only got to watch one of the trials, they did it. We had Meg Catino, who works at the middle school, and I have to thank Curtis many times over for sharing Meg with the team this year because we needed her to help drive vans, needed her to help chaperone overnight trips. And she just was a tremendous help because she knows the kids, she understands what they're trying to do, and was a huge support. And then another parent that you occasionally see here at the school board meetings is Laurie Kramer. And Lori is graduating after 8 years of mock trial work. She's had 2 kids back to back who've done it and was a tremendous help this year because she provided the kids with their own Dunkin' Donut gift cards for both our Yale trip and our trip out to Pittsburgh, which helped to guarantee that some of these kids could actually afford to eat for the weekend without having to count the pennies. So at this point, if you will indulge me just a little bit, I'd like to turn it over to the team members who are here and to Nicole, just so they can tell you about their experience.
Hi, my name is Lucia Catino, and I'm a senior now on the mock trial team. I also am a captain and became a captain about halfway through my junior year. So I kind of started mock trial in 10th grade when I just was like, some of my friends were doing it. So I was like, I'll show up, like I'll see what this is about. And it really just like became my passion. My 10th grade year, we went to Harvard up in Boston, and we competed for the first time in person after a few years. And that was just like really eye-opening on like what competition could be. And I like really like found my love. And I was like, this is something that I'm gonna want to continue to do. So then we had my sophomore year, which was crazy with like COVID and everything, doing Zoom competitions where I didn't know what I was doing at all. And then fast forward to my junior year, we competed at the Pitt Cathedral Classic. And that was just, once again, like an amazing eye-opening experience. And one of the first times the whole team could get together and just really have that like team bonding time, which is what truly we needed. Like Mrs. Wise said, there's a lot of us that do and are just a part of a bunch of different activities like track, working, FBLA, like things like that. So we're not always on the same playing field. And so, yeah, it just was a really awesome team bonding experience. And then we made it through competition, did that over Zoom still, which wasn't great. But then my senior year, we really got to shine. And I just am so proud of our team and kind of like what we have done this year with going to states. And like Mrs. Wise said, I really think we found our true potential. And though we're graduating 6 seniors, I think that we still have that like ground and those people behind us that are going to help bring us up and hopefully let us go to states next year. And mock trial really made me like find my love for the law and just how intricate it is, but also how fun it can be. I don't know if you kind of know what mock trial is, but we had a case about murder, which kind of a drag, but it was about two competing people in the restaurant business, and it was all about pizza, and they always try to interwork things from old cases, so it makes it fun. It's not just like blah 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 like murder. So so yeah, and which is why it kind of inspired me to go for political science at Duquesne University's Honors College, where I hopefully will be a part of the mock trial team. Once again, at the Pitt Cathedral Classic, I was able to kind of network with some of their mock trial people, and they definitely said, come to tryouts. We really want to see you there. So yeah, mock trial has really been the backbone of my high school career and a really awesome opportunity for me. So thank you for being here to listen.
Hi, my name is Alexa. I'm another senior on the mock trial team. I think what I want to say, it really just echoes a lot of what Lucia just told you. Mock trial has been just so impactful and influential on my high school career. I started as a freshman. Mrs. Wise had asked me to join going into freshman year. I will not lie to you, I was really nervous. I was very hesitant. I didn't know anybody on the team. And freshman and sophomore year, it was all online. So I think I wasn't really getting the experience that everyone else who's older on the team knew mock trial to be. And so I think for at least the first year, it just felt like something I was in. But then last year as a junior, when we got to compete in person for the first time, I will never forget like my first in-person competition and how exciting it was. We may not have been like the strongest altogether team last year, but it was so thrilling, so exciting. I learned that I loved competing in person with another team right there. It just completely changed the game, in my opinion. I'm one of the attorneys on the team, and I don't know, it just has really become a passion of mine, and something I've really enjoyed throughout high school as a whole is the different things I've gotten to be a part of, even if it's not exactly what I want to do in the future. So I'm pretty set. I know I want to go into international relations, but mock trial, I absolutely love it. I love being an attorney. It makes me think, oh, maybe one day this is something I could pursue. Same thing goes, I'm in the Geisinger co-op program. I know I don't want to go into the medical field. It's still something I love doing. So mock trial has just served to really just, I don't know, like open my horizons to so many different things in high school. And this year specifically, I think the team, it just has been so special to me. I've seen the team from freshman year, sophomore, junior year really turn over in people. We had a lot of people graduate when we were sophomores. There was a lot of seniors on the team. It's just a completely different environment. I think it really went from everyone kind of being their own person to us all really feeling like a cohesive team. And I don't think has been any more true than this year. Every single mock trial weekend we took, no matter how tired we were, how much junk food we ate. So fun. Definitely some of my favorite high school memories. And mock trial, it definitely is just, it's been like a core part of my high school career. So yeah, I think I just echo a lot of what Lucia has said about how special the team is, how fun it is to compete. It's something I've definitely tossed around and hoping to do next year at the University of Maryland, joining their mock trial team. But yeah, so thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening and for supporting our mock trial team.
Hi, you guys know me already. I'm the junior team captain of the mock trial team, or the JV captain. I've been in mock trial since my freshman year, and before that I knew bits and pieces because my older brother did it. He's the reason I joined mock trial, and I could not be more grateful for that opportunity. It has helped me grow so much as a person. I was very quiet in middle school. If it weren't for mock trial, I definitely wouldn't have the confidence to be here sitting on this board. It is definitely a lot of work. I've somehow killed 2 entire legal pads over the course of 2 years. I didn't know that was possible. I normally lose them a long time before that, but it's been an incredible experience. Going to Pitt and getting first place was amazing. Getting to states is farther than my brother's team ever made it, so that felt really good. Honestly, it's just become my thing, more or less. And it's something I really want to continue past high school. It's made me kind of want to become a lawyer when I grow up, and it's definitely something I want to do in college, be on a college mock trial team. And I am very grateful for the experience.
Hi, my name is Reese Peterson. I'm a sophomore. I joined last year as a freshman, and what an experience it's been. I've met so many people through mock trial, and if you know me, you might know I'm a little more on the introverted side, but this really brought out a more extroverted side where I was able to talk to more people and make new friends and see all sorts of ideas, routines, strategies, personalities, all sorts of things that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise. And I'm really grateful for my time there in mock trial. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole Polito. I'm the attorney coach. I've been doing it, as Mrs. Wise said, for 8 years now. And I just have to say that this team has probably been the most cohesive team I've seen and absolutely the hardest working. Every single one of them dedicated their time on a daily basis, every morning before a class. A lot of times after school, during the flex periods, on the weekends, we spent hours and hours together. And you can really see the dedication and hard work come through when they actually went to compete, which is why they made it so far. They represented all of you very well, so you should feel very good about that. I'll continue to do this because it's a joy, it's a pleasure. I have students still contacting me today. In fact, Mrs. Kramer's son talked to me because I now work at the DEP and he's trying to become an engineer over there. So I've got some really good connections out of meeting with these kids, and they're just wonderful to work with. So you should be very proud of them. Thank you.
With that, we're done. Thank you.
Nicole, I want to thank you. I often see you jet out the front doors, and I know you're off to your real work. So we appreciate the time that you give the district and our kids. It really is fantastic what they've accomplished, not just this year, but in all the years that we've had the program. And Mrs. Wise, thank you for your dedication to the program. It's amazing. Nobody knows, even with your presentation tonight, and I'm not going to share the secrets, what you do for the kids, not just showing up with your time and the practices, but the fundraising and the your own money that you put into the program. So very much appreciated, and the district thanks you. So yeah, absolutely are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, and as you pointed out, I got it wrong, saying, it's Megan Alfredo. I accidentally.
For the record.
For the record.
YouTube.
For the record.
Mrs. Altabrand.
Right, thank you very much. That was great. All right, now we move on to public comment. This portion of the agenda tonight. This is for residents and taxpayers to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberate before the board. Each member will receive 3 unpaused minutes. And I do ask that when you come up, please state your name and your address. Thank you.
Jack Callahan, 113 Arch Street in Toursville. I don't have Facebook. I wasn't at the last meeting. And I talked to Todd earlier when I first brought this up about the volleyball, and Todd handled the whole thing. He did a pretty good job, I think. And I didn't badger him.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I'm for this volleyball. I'm for this volleyball, and I've been for it just because some ladies asked me, if I could attend the meeting and bring it forward, which I did. And I basically stayed out of it. I mean, I didn't get up to any games of any of the teams up to Loyal Soccer, Southside, or Williamsport. I don't know if anybody else did, but I mean, I think it goes over well. And I think this is a class 4A high school, either a small 4A or a big 3A. And they should have it. I mean, and I don't know. I was going to say, hey, maybe we ought to do away with this curriculum and the instructor and go along with the volleyball and that. But I mean, I think the volleyball would be beneficial in many ways to everybody that competes. And I'd like to say, back in 1962, Bill Fry Ford, he gave $6,000 to start the junior high football program. And he also did pass, punt, and kick for about 30 years. And he was a contributor. You know, that's how that was started. The track program was started by, they made the first set of hurdles was homemade, but then they had the regular ones. And then they had, you were jumping into sawdust, high jumping, pole vaulting, you're falling into sawdust. And then they got remnants from over at Savoy's. And they would use the remnants in bags, laundry bags, to break the falls. And then they would get the burl round grader to do the track, to make it hard before the meets. So, I mean, they used different people in the borough that did stuff to get a program started. And then our gymnastics program, it was the beam, the horse, the uneven parallel bars, and the floor exercises. That they didn't have an official coach; they had a gym teacher, but they competed with everybody and they competed well. So I think these girls in the volleyball can compete right off the bat. I mean, Southside won a district title right off of 1 year. And I'm not saying our girls can have to do that. I mean, they can just compete, and I think they want to do it. And I'd like to see it done for this next year. I know it's, I read the price is $70,000.
Jack, I don't want to cut you off, but you've gone beyond your 3 minutes.
All right.
If you want to come back up at the end and
Yeah,
continue your
all
thoughts,
right.
I'd love to hear.
Okay,
it.
yep.
Thank you, Jack.
Yep.
All right, anyone else in the room? All right, seeing none, we will go to Zoom. Anyone in Zoom would like to participate or ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. All right, seeing none there, we will move on to the business manager's report. Randy?
Okay. You've received copies of the treasurer's report for the period ending March 31st, 2024 for the general fund and cafeteria fund. We are submitting these for the board for your consideration of approval.
All right, accept the motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. Very well.
And onto the presentation of the bills. You've received copies of the listing of invoices for the general fund and cafeteria fund for the period ending April 9th, 2024. We are submitting these to the board for your consideration of approval and payment.
All right, accept the motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
Mr. Badger,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Yes.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hausnick,
Yes.
Ms. McCoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Oberheim. Yes. All right. So moving on to the budget presentation. Let me get that pulled up here. So, while you're passing those around, I'll just start with just the introduction. Tonight, we are working on getting through the expenditures. At the last meeting, we did the revenues. I will just update one change on the revenue. And, that was just because as you update your expenditures, your, FICA reimbursement changes as your wage and changes. So I changed our budget wages. So when that happened, it changed our FICA. So I'll get to that. So let's get going. All right, nothing changed on here. I'm just providing you the information. So we're building on it every month, every meeting. So you have it in hand to refer back to in case you forgot to bring it or something. So I'll just kind of skim through these first ones. Local revenue, nothing has changed with local revenue. Moving on to the state revenue, here is where you see a little bit of change in here. 7112 increased a little bit, and 7800 increased a little bit. Those are your reimbursements for FICA and the retirement subsidy. So that's why you see those changes there. No changes in the federal revenue. So here's what we're really getting into tonight. This is an overall high level picture of it. We started doing this last year and the board seemed to like this because it showed you a snapshot of the budget as a whole on one page. So I will start here with the 100s, the wages. You'll see the increase over last year is 1.65%. This also includes the support staff contract that is being considered this evening for approval. So I do want to make everyone aware that that is in there. That seems low, and some of it has to do with teacher retirements, other positions that have not been filled in the district already, being removed from the prior budget. So you'll see that that caused it to show a very low increase in wages of only 1.65% overall. Employee benefits, those increased 3.84%. I consider that to be good. PSERS dropped very little, basically staying the same. It was so minimal. So that was not the cause there. The cause there was our healthcare did increase 8.5% this year. But I did a snapshot in time to present the budget. And at the beginning of March, I took February's invoice and I went through and made sure every employee's benefit package was correct into the budget at that moment in time and put them in there so they are on the correct plan, because we see employees changing plans throughout the year due to personal circumstances. And so we always make sure that gets updated. So you'll see the employee benefits went up 3.84%. Purchased 300s, the purchase professional and technical services. This is an increase of 4.76%. This is mainly the IU contract in this area. And I will say this is a good guesstimate right now. I have nothing from the IU right now. I don't have an estimate for next year. I have not been provided anything from the IU yet. So I put a increase in there and it is a guesstimate until I get the contract. Once I get the contract, we will be updated with actual numbers. But again, that is an actual number as a guesstimate. Because as students move in and out of the district or their needs change, so does that IU contract. It has to be very fluid just because of student needs and the district's needs. So overall, that's a 4.76% increase for next year. Purchase property and service went up 2.15%. This is your sewer, garbage, your little maintenance things, kind of like that. Just a little bit going up. And water's also included in that. Just a little bit going up 15 grand. But everything has gone up. So we do see a 2.15% increase there. The next one we're coming on is a huge jump. It's a 33.34%. And I think the district will need to be focusing more in this area. And I think there's plans on focusing more. Well, I know there's plans on focusing more in this area moving forward. But this big jump comes from mainly cyber charter schools. So as I spoke about that moment in time in preparing the employee benefit information, I also do that with other things in the budget. So when we were talking about cyber charter schools last month, and we got those numbers for you, I took those numbers and put that into this actual budget. So if everything remains constant next year, we have 53 regular ed students and 22 special ed students in cyber charters. That has increased our budget over what had been projected previously, about $500,000. So that is half of that 500 that 500 section that I have some concern with. That puts our cyber charter school cost around $1.1 million, which is a significant number. Now there is still a big push on the legislation passing that a bill that will cap it at 8,000, which will help. But again, we can't really count on that until it happens. So this is a moment in time. This is what it's going to cost us if everything remains the same. Some other things that are included in this is by looking at the transportation formula for next year, we have for regular ed, we have a $30,000 increase, which is kind of normal. That goes up just a little bit usually each year, depending on the economy, because that formula fluctuates with the economy. And so that can go up and down. But the big thing there is our specialized transportation costs. And these are to our regular ed and our special ed outside placements. So we have seen, I had to add in $375,000 into that, because just looking at where we are at currently and what was previously budgeted, it needs to be added in because that's what we're actually spending. I will say these numbers that I'm presenting to you this evening, I should have said this at the beginning, are very accurate, in my opinion, to what will actually be spent. There's a lot of review of what we've spent over the past 5 years, and I have encouraged and asked to make the budget as accurate as possible and to show where the money's actually going to be spent. Very transparent here. So that's part of bringing out why the increase in the 500s is so large, because prior there would be hope that, oh, we could get those costs down and we'll just kind of tuck away that cost in the budgetary reserve. But we're taking a little bit of a different approach. So that's another reason why you see that huge jump, but it's more in line with actual numbers over the past 5 years. So this is very realistically what should probably will happen if no changes are made. In a lot of the 500s, we don't have control over the costs. A lot of that is things that we just have to pay. If a student goes to cyber charter school, we don't have the option not to pay that. We are in a contract to pay state formula for our transportation. So we have to pay those costs. Students need transported to outside placements. So we have to pay those costs. We can't deny them the transportation. So a lot of things in this 500 include that. Some of the other minor things are the costs of those outside placements. We do have some students in some very costly programs, and that has also caused that to jump up a little bit. So that's a little bit of that too. The LCTC program is budgeted in the 500s, and we have 10 or 13 more students planning on attending LCTC next year. So we have to account for those students in this budget. So it's a matter of just putting all those numbers together and seeing where it's actually coming out. So that is a very true number there. Moving on to supplies. Supplies is up 9.3%. And that is just, things are going up. As we know at home, things are going up. Costs are going up here. I will say the administrators, the secretaries, the teachers, everyone always look for the most efficient and find the best deal on stuff, you know, when they can, for the supplies that we need. But overall, it is going up, and we're seeing that. I will comment on that. We could see that go up or down, hoping a little bit more towards the down. We still have our bids out until the 19th. So, but we haven't received anything yet. So we're hoping to get bids back for some stuff that is in that supplies orders. And hopefully we can drop that down a little bit. So hopefully that will come in a little bit better. Property is the 700s, and that's another large percentage increase of 31%, but it's a $75,000 increase. Where that's coming from is the custodial maintenance budget usually has equipment that has to be purchased or something each year. But this year, nothing major was submitted on that. We do have concern. I have a concern. But it was not proposed on that budget. We do have another van that is getting where it has to be retired. And so that's gonna, and they are about a year out to order, I think now. So, and the cost keeps going up on those. That's not in this budget. But, so that actually dropped the custodial maintenance budget this year. Because of the maintenance and stuff that has been done on things. That being said, we had to budget in for Chromebooks starting this year because we no longer have ESSER funds. So with the Chromebooks being budgeted in, it caused a $75,000 difference. Once those Chromebooks, once we don't see that offset from the custodial maintenance budget, we will see a bigger increase there overall. Because that ended up covering, I want to say about 60 grand. Yeah, it was 60 grand of those Chromebook costs. So, when Joe has to add some of that back in because we can't just keep putting things off, that will come back in, just so everyone's aware, of that. Other objects is dues and fees and miscellaneous items. Those have an increase of 1.42%, and it was $900 overall. The use of other funds, is your budgetary reserve. It also includes your bond payments. So our bond payments have been, they had dropped and then they bumped up a little bit, and with an increase in your budget, your budgetary reserves, because board policy states that your budgetary reserve must be between 2 and 10%. Our budgetary reserve is budgeted at 2%. So overall, I want to point out here, we have a 6.14% increase over the current year budget. I would also like to point out our actuals from 2022, 2023 do include some ESSER funding purchases. So you see that being $36,752,000, and we are budgeting less than that. So you will see that that has decreased because we don't have those COVID funds anymore. But we are still trying to maintain some of those programs and everything we have in this budget. So I think I've been, just want to make sure I covered everything. Oh, some of the things that we don't have. I covered the bids. We don't have bids yet. We don't have IU contract. I do not have the insurance quote yet. That's a big worry for me. Last year it came in much higher than what we were expecting. Insurance is still going up. So that may have a little bit of an impact here. So those are just some things that we're still waiting on that I don't have. Before I move on and talk about millage rates and fund balance, any questions on these expenditures from the board?
I know everyone's gonna be shocked, but I have a question.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
It's not, I mean, it's not that bad. So, so on these actuals, a majority of it's coming from the ESSER, right? Cause that's, when I'm looking at the actuals, I'm looking at our budget for the, following year, right? So
Mhm.
we're looking at other purchases. We were at 3.743. Our budget for 2023-24 was 2.8. Are we gonna come in close to that 2.8? For this year? See, okay, so you have our actuals from
Mhm.
22-23. That's
Right.
3.7. We have a budget of 2.8 for 23-24.
4,500s, yes.
Yeah,
We're
is
gonna
it
be-
gonna come in close to that?
No,
Is it going to be over that?
yes, it's gonna be more like the 24-25 number.
Okay, that was my, and similar, so similar to supplies, are we gonna come in closer to this number?
Well-
And 600s? So I'm just looking at some of the difference, like other uses in our actuals compared to our budget and then compared to where we are. So this one and other uses. We came in at $5.4 million in other usage. Our budget for the following year was 4.
Okay, so this is 23-24.
Correct,
We did that $1.7 million transfer to capital.
correct.
So that's an
That's it.
extraordinary
Okay,
thing. Our bond payments were lower. These are budgeted off of our bond payment schedules
okay,
and the budgetary reserve at the 2%.
okay.
So these numbers here for 23-24 and 24-25 for the
Or
900s
closer, what's more
are
normal?
almost like exact.
Okay, that's what, and I had a feeling with that one.
Minus the budgetary reserve as long as we don't spend it.
Right,
So my next slide, I'll be pulling that back out and showing you some numbers. So,
okay, then I have one more. So when we talked about healthcare and you were talking about the variables and employees change healthcare through. So we don't have in our healthcare contract annual enrollments.
we do have annual
Okay,
enrollments,
so how does the variable happen where they're changing?
like
through the
changing
year?
event,
Okay,
There's,
that's
I
it. All right,
believe,
so like
5 or
having-
6 of
having
them.
kids and so, okay.
Having kids, marriage,
Right,
divorce,
okay, all right.
spouse losing
So
a job.
that's what you, okay, got it.
Yep.
Got you on that. Okay, so life changing events.
And we have a lot of those.
No, I know. I was just gonna say, I got you, but I just wanted to, this was my, just wanted to
Yep.
make sure that we have annual enrollment and that we're not, because that, okay. All right, I think that's all I had for you. See, I told you it was Pamela.
That was too
That,
easy.
listen, I may start sitting here thinking. Let's get ready.
All right. Anyone else have a question?
I think it's just more of a comment. I mean, when we're given money and then we use it for certain things, and then we have to try to keep up with those things, it's impossible to continue to do that. Does that make sense?
It's the ESSER, you're talking about.
Yeah,
ESSER.
so we're giving ESSER's money and that's great.
Yep.
And we use it for Chromebooks, but now we have to supply the Chromebooks and actually taxpayer has to supply the Chromebooks. And I do remember saying, this is coming down the pike, like they're paying for it now, but everybody else is gonna have to pay for it later, so.
But,
It has to be built into the budget to maintain it, yeah.
but we're, at
Or
this
else we
point,
can't maintain it. If we don't build it into the budget,
Yeah,
we can't
And-
maintain it.
right, and I mean, maybe at some point, that's, we can't maintain all the programs that we picked up with ESSERS.
but with the Chromebooks, you have to think about it. We did a bulk purchase, which we had never been able to do. And now you're building in replacement, right? So,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
and so my personal opinion, that was a smart use of funds because that's a huge amount of money to spend, right? Like you're buying a large amount of Chromebooks
I know.
and now you're just feeding in X amount a year.
Right.
And which you needed to because the kid, I mean, you have to have that technology for kids nowadays, as much as I hate screen time, sorry.
Anyone else? All right, I'm gonna move on to the next slide here. So. This is the big screen. The millage summary. First one here is no tax increase. I show our revenue and our expenditures. The impact on a property is $0. It keeps it exactly where it is. I pull out, well, I put the budgetary reserve there, so you can see the deficit we have, with no tax increase is 2.2 million. You pull out the budgetary reserve,
and you're looking at 1.5 million. So you're looking at having to use 1.5 million of your fund balance, because the goal is to not spend the budgetary reserve. Budgetary reserve is for emergencies, things that have to happen. So you are looking at a $1.5 million deficit with no tax increase. The next one I shared here was a 0.4 increase. And one thing that was added into the budget that has not been funded, that I think we really need to make a commitment to fund, is our armed guards. And to get to that where we need to fund it, it is costing around 335,000 was what we looked at today annually. And to get that millage built into our budget, we were looking at a 0.4 increase. With that increase, you will see that it brings us down to a 1.2 million use of fund balance. Then I just provided the other two increases that we have here, that is halfway to index and to full index. So I provided those for you also to look at. One other thing I will say here is the board also needs to consider starting to add millage for a project if they are still intending on doing a building project. And looking at, that's what I forgot to grab. And looking at doing a borrowing of $10 million, we needed to add 0.18 for 0.14 for 4 years. Okay, yeah, for 4 years. To build that into the budget. So that would bring you in just below the the 0.56. If that is the intent of the board to do some sort of projects, we really need to look at getting that built in, because it takes 4 years or really higher increases quickly to get that into the budget. So questions on this page?
So I just want to understand this. So we need the 1.4 for 4 years if we're borrowing 10 million? 1.14, yeah, that's why I had it. It's 0.14 if we're borrowing 10 million, right? Okay, all right. And then my other question was, is armed security in this budget or it's not?
They are in this budget, but it's part of the reason for the deficit growing.
Okay.
Because
Where
it's
are they, what?
They're all over, because it has to do with wages, benefits.
Okay.
So yes, it's all.
So it's all in,
Yes.
okay, but they're in there.
Yes, so that is something that was added to the budget with ESSER funds. And as a permanent, I know, I'm sorry.
Literally just.
And as a permanent addition to the budget to help stop the increasing of the deficit annually, because it's just going to continue to build.
Right.
Stating, okay, we're adding this in to cover this cost moving forward. Those are some things that need to be looked at, in my opinion. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We will move on from there. Fund balance. So this is what is left in our savings. Projected use of the fund balance for this year is included in there, and that leaves us with 3.5 million. But really only about 3.1 because part of that is assigned or committed. So if we had to use all of that, the board would have to motion to unassign it and reassign it to something else to be used. So, that's what you're looking at having for the fund balance for next year. It's looking pretty close right now. Unfortunately, a lot of budget reserve is being used to cover the 500 section of our current budget because it is really
Expensive.
yes, it has gone up tremendously. So you're looking at using about 400 of it currently, and I'll provide you with an update of that at the next meeting of the current year budget.
So that 390 is mostly in the 500.
That is what was approved last year.
Okay.
It was to
Oh, I
use
got you.
that
I
much
got
of it.
Okay, I got it.
But that had a budgetary reserve in it. And unfortunately, due to the cost of the 500s, we are going to use it.
Okay, got you.
So, okay. And I'll bring to you either at the April work session or the May meeting, I'll look at dates. An adopted proposed. Anything can change from the proposed. You just have to show that you're working on a budget. So we're gonna continue to talk and review changes and see what we can do to help work on some of the 500 costs. And make some changes moving forward. So this is the timeline we have. Any other questions from the board? I will state. Oh, sorry.
So I've been on this board for 6.5 years. And I sit here and I just boil because of the 500s and because of what we give away. And in the 6.5 years, how many times have we raised the taxes, baby?
I'd have to go back and look. I mean, I know we have not raised taxes for
2 years.
a while now, yes.
And, you know, what I get really upset about and frustrated with is that I get it, but when you're paying $20 for a whole hoagie and you're paying what you pay for fuel, whatever it is, and as we sit here and we go down through the list and you look at the increases of everything that we're incurring, and then the other side of me is thinking about, you know, the kids themselves here in this district and the opportunities that they have. And I kick myself because, like, you know, you cannot, and I've said it before and I've caught a lot of flack for it, but you cannot just continue to just try to keep your taxes down. You just can't do it. We've been doing this for 6.5 years now since I've been on the board. And alls we do, and it's not like we're being exuberant on things that we're doing as far as, you know, other than providing our students with the best kind of education we can give them all the possibilities of extracurricular activities, like any kid should have. And it just sitting here going through this motion of listening to all of it, and I look at the common sense of it all, and unless you want to start cutting other things, and we tried doing that 6 years ago, cutting all the stuff that we cut, and where did that end up getting you?
part of that is the reason why you don't have students coming here and people moving into this district is because of what happened. And I know it's behind us, but as I sit here, you know, and I'm reflecting, you know, as this board moves forward and the community moves forward, you're gonna have to do something to maintain and to give these kids that want a volleyball team, you know, to get the mats put in and that need to be put in, and both balls are rolling. And the solution, unfortunately, is what? And because if you would have had an increase, not a huge increase, but if you would have increased the taxes the last 2 years, not exuberantly, but just a little bit, those numbers are a lot different that you would be looking at. I believe they would be anyway, Brandy, wouldn't they?
Yes, they are different. I'm just making note. I'm gonna work on something to show you guys how that makes a change on the little increases versus no increases and then a bigger increase, and just show you how that impacts the district. So I will work on getting that and get that over to you guys, because I think what you're saying is very true. Also, in adding on to that, there is only 2 districts in the 7 districts in Lycoming County that have a lower tax rate than us. And one of the districts is looking to increase this year. And so we will only have, if they do move forward with their increase, which then that will only leave 1 district with lower tax rate than us. So we do sit in the lower end of taxes for Lycoming County. So just so, and I can provide, that's all public information. We reviewed it today. So I can provide you with where their current millage rates are and where we stand. You can just Google it and look right on Lycoming County's website. It provides it for you. And that's just where we sit. And, you know, if we're not spending money on our kids, then are we gonna have kids and families moving in?
If you look the last 3 years, no, you're not. I mean, the 500s is pretty evident of what the crux of the problem is, and has been the problem. Now I understand, you know, when you're talking about special education and the needs and the things that they need, and yeah, you need to take care of that. You really do. The cyber charter end of it, I totally just disagree with that. We don't get more help, and we've been battling that fight for how long? Ever since I've been on the board, and that's been the one thing that just continues to grow and continues just to take away the volleyball team and takes away, you know, the other things that we would like to do. And at some point, I'm hoping that somewhere along the lines, we can get a representative or somebody that's gonna stand up and fight for us, because it's not happening.
Keep calling, keep emailing, because it is very close. From what I'm getting from my organization, it's a possibility for next year.
Yeah, the bill was stripped down to just the $8,000 cap and removed all other language that was in the bill. So that will help
Where's it at right now?
in committee.
No, but where's the cost per student right now?
So we are at, I have round numbers here. I didn't do it. Yeah. There's 2 different things.
Yeah, 13,000 for regular ed, 27 for special ed. Now, the special ed isn't wrapped up in that.
I was just gonna say they're not.
That will continue to be at that 27,000 rate.
but it'll save us 250,000.
And then
So,
there's some other things we can look at and discuss where we start bringing some of those numbers back. And if you bring enough back, it could pay for the position, so it wipes it out. And then anything, one of the things we're looking at, we have a current contracted position. If we extend that another year, this person could work on bringing cyber back. At that rate, 4 kids would cover that contract, and anything beyond that would be back to the district, money not leaving the district. So those are some of the things we're looking into to help stop that.
Can I ask you a question? Would they have to choose ours, or would they still have the option to choose someone else's?
It would have to be ours. If they choose somebody else's, the money will follow them.
Right, yeah,
So if
no,
it's CCA, it goes to CCA. If they go and pick Agora, that money's gonna go to Agora. If they come back to us, it stays with us. And there's gonna be a little cost there because we have to go out and buy the courses.
and so that's kind of an if, like, we hope that they're gonna
It's
choose
a
our
gamble,
program.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the draw there is dual enrollment. We have some good dual enrollment options currently, more coming online hopefully. And they have that one towards a diploma, which when we were, prior to COVID, when we were running a hybrid program, we were keeping kids here. So I think the draw of our diploma and still being tied to us, I think helps with the older kids, which is where the bulk of these are. The elementary, we may not be able to get back. Doesn't mean we wouldn't try.
Can I add another piece to that as well, you know, that when they're attached to the district, and you have a person that is that liaison working on applicant bill and they stay connected, there's additional oversight. A lot of times we see kids that will go pursue a cyber charter option because they're dissatisfied with what they're doing in house and a brick and mortar, they do that. They may not be as successful, they fall behind and decide to come back. And now we're kind of, you know, making that problem even exponentially worse because now they're behind, they're back, they're struggling, and then they go out again. So we get caught in that cycle. If we can keep them tied in, I can speak an example of a student that we kind of hybrided a little bit this year for some reasons that wasn't getting some things accomplished. They're back because we said, listen, you're not getting it done. You're coming back. We're resetting. They're still doing some of that that same coursework, but they're back with us too. It still gives us stake in the game, still gives us accountability, and it allows us to at least keep a better pulse on pace and where their struggles and needs are and ensure that at least they're getting something, where if they're left out on their own and they fall on their face, they're not coming back as unprepared as they would if we still had a touch point with them. So I mean, there are advantages to that as well, having it still connected to the district in some way.
Yeah, he brings up a good point. There is a hidden cost to a kid that leaves for a year and comes back with nothing done. And that doesn't happen just once. That is over and over and over again. And there is a cost to that. You have them for an extra year. If they make it through that, great. If not, they become a cost to society later on. There's just a hidden cost you can't put on that kid that goes and does nothing. And that happens.
No.
So if we were to try it and people didn't choose it over maybe CCA or something like that, is it something then we would let go? We could keep a pulse on it.
Yeah, that's why I would, as we play this out, looking at extending that contracted person we have an additional year, and I think she would do that. We're only locked in for a year. If it works, we could continue asking. I don't know how much longer she's gonna go, but we could continue asking if it does work.
And even just the stopgap of a conversation before they exit. I know a lot of districts will put that in place now, and hopefully would as well, if this is a route that we go, where we have that inkling, that student, the parent reaches out and says, we're moving to start a charter. Right? Before you abandon ship,
Yeah.
let's sit down and make a plan, and let's at least provide something, offer something. And for lack of a better term, sell what we are at, what we have to offer as an alternative, why it may be superior to state connected district. If they're so disenfranchised, they're gonna go anyway, but at least it gives us another avenue to continue to be an investment for them. You know, as part of it. So even just another stopgap can sometimes be enough to every little bit.
But if you're a junior, senior, and you leave to go do online classes, why not come back, do your online classes through Commonwealth University? You're earning your college credits. You're earning your high school credits towards your diploma. And you got a real head start. If you're college bound, you have a real head start. And we do have college bound kids that have left to do cyber. So I think there's a draw there. I think there's a way to market this to get some kids back. As a senior, I don't know how you say no unless you absolutely, and there are those that are absolutely turned off by the district that won't return, but that's a pretty good deal, to be able to earn your college and high school at the same time, without necessarily having to come in and deal with all the social issues or whatever reason they've decided to leave. It's a good option. If they want to be in the band, they can do that. They can come to the band and still be a part of that. And we can really mix it up and program for the individual kid.
I think something Mr. Johnson brought up is I think a lot of times parents aren't aware that there are other options. It's either stay here or go totally. And so if we present options where we can streamline and individualize a course of study for that particular student so that they succeed, I think that's a really good option that parents might look at.
Yeah, kids are very good at selling their parents on cyber, correct, Mrs. Upper? So they're really good at selling that, and sometimes they do pick up the phone and call and ask, do you have any options? It'd be nice to be able to offer a parent a way to kind of fight back.
We've had that.
You're not going full cyber. Yeah.
Are there, like, do you guys have? Currently we don't.
So I will do full disclosure, this is what my brother does down at Conestoga Valley, and they work through their IU for this exact reason, is because they were bleeding out heavily. So he came back from sabbatical and started their online curriculum and worked heavily with their IU to get it done. Have we gone into the conversations with the IU? He said they were a huge source of resource, and working with to.
Yes, the IU wants to charge an annual fee that I'm not interested in paying. I
Okay,
think we can do it without.
Yeah.
okay, so I was just saying that when cause he was up when we had this conversation because of everything going on, and obviously that's what he does, so I'd go to the guy that does it for a very large school district.
Yeah, they have.
So and that's, I said, how did you start it, and who, what, I wanted to ask vendors and this and that, and he said that, and that's why I wanted to ask if we had, because that's where they go through, and do courses and stuff like that.
And another consideration to having that kind of agenda through this process in-house is that we get to vet that provider too.
Right.
We're a little bit more restricted when we're working through the IU of what they use as their provider. So if we see something that may not match the pacing or rigor or supports for students with special needs, if that doesn't fit what we need, we're a little bit more restricted going through that, or that we're kind of vet that out on our own. And also with our own, as you talked about, kind of that individual plan. If a kid's not successful, they're still ours. We can still build a transition back in that would look very different than you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in. We could definitely customize it to the kid a little bit more as we would need to. But that really isn't going to work super well, as Mr. T said, without having kind of that person to act in that capacity too. That's huge. It can't just be out there in the ether.
Right.
With us, emailing back and forth and calling. Like we need more of a hands-on spot for that. So with you students coming backstage for that role, it's 100% worth it. And I know, especially with several classmen, I'm confident we could get some more kids back in with a lot of different options.
It's just, they've seen great success with, once they started implementing it, both on middle school and high school and getting in, even the kids that are hybrid and some that are, and so and it's the exact reason is that they were bleeding out from charter a lot. And we actually were bleeding out more in their districts, about 3 times the size. So we actually are losing more money to start charter than they were. So.
One thing talking through some of this semester with the team, one of the things we'd like to see, hopefully eventually come back to you, those students are not college bound. Maybe hopefully down the road develop a co-op program.
I was
You
thinking
build
that too.
relationships and industry around the area. Again, it's a process, but if we build some success, we can hopefully eventually.
When they can't get that through cyber charter, either a co-op, I think that would be huge, because I think you're losing a lot to that type of kid too. That's not just the college.
And students may be less interested in going totally cyber if they know there are things that they're interested in that aren't like core courses that they can still stay hooked into. And that then gives us some eyes on them at that same time too.
Well, I think there's a lot of potential. I think we need to beat them down because it's going to benefit us as taxpayers.
This was my Easter time conversation.
The student at the same time. And so we need to beat it down and discuss what we want to do.
Trust me, I'm with you on that one.
Well, let's beat it.
When I heard we were paying out more money than TV.
I'm done.
All right. Okay.
Oh, one more thing. Budget.
Not done.
Flyer.
If you haven't been crossed off my list of statement of financial interest, you received a new one from me this evening. I want it to go on record that I have now requested these a second time from anyone that is not crossed off my list. For the purpose of the audit, because I have been documented on the audit for not having all those by May 1st previously. So I would like us to have those all in hand by May 1st, if everyone can get those back to me.
Are you saying names on YouTube at the work session?
I mean, I could. I think everyone will probably be signing them and handing them back over tonight or before. And it wasn't, it was just a handful.
I'd asked you to read the list of names, but I'm on there. So
Start badgering.
we'll keep that. Yeah.
So thank you all for your time. We will come back and look at this, at the, more budget stuff at the April meeting. And I believe we do have to adopt a proposed there, but again, we can still continue working through it. It's a proposed is just saying that we are working on it. And then we will, I noted some things that I think will be helpful in showing the board to help make decisions. And I will get that stuff ready for you for the next meeting. So thank you all for your time.
Okay. You promise you're good now?
So I think of something.
All right. Moving on to the superintendent's reports, which is my second favorite portion of the meeting. The student portion of the meeting is my first favorite. The superintendent, and it couldn't fall in a better place in the agenda after we talk about budget. So we will start by going around the room. Mr. Johnson, how are we doing?
We're doing all right. So I'm on my phone here, decided to rapidly dying and getting live updates from our state competitors at FBLA tonight. So I'm happy to share what I have so far from that is Noah Hepler placed 5th place in current events. Jimmy Messina, Shaw Simpson, and Andrew Truman presenting for sales presentation. They've made it to the final round, and I don't know where they're at yet, but they're hoping they have a shot to qualify for nationals. And a Baylor's in their final round for job interview. Jack Dietrich took 6th in UX design, which is user experience design about building products. And Andrews, you placed 4th in state for business calculations, and he is eligible to go to nationals, which is pretty cool. So They're out there doing well. We have 24 students up at FBLA this week at the state competition. Other than that, you heard about mock trial success as well. The high school are finalizing their schedules. We'll have those to the teachers by May. You tried to park when you came in. Spring sports are in full swing. We had a lot here on track today. Mr. Keith scared me with this phone call. Don't ever start a phone call like that again. About buses this afternoon, but on April 12th, we have Model UN. We have the FFA banquet coming up on the 17th. The 29th is the high school spring band concert. Not list of that, that'll be great. We have PME states coming up at the end of April here, as well as the PSA conference from May. And we hit the end here in June with all of the rest of the stuff. So we're rolling and spring is sprung in the high school. It's definitely the breaking weather today has been very nice, very well. Yeah,
Definitely. All right, Mr. Hanner.
We are in the special education department finalizing our numbers for the extended school year program. Of our students, we've had 61 students that are eligible for attending extended school year. And of those, we have 48 students that will be attending. We have sent out all of the NORA, Notice of Recommended Educational Placements for the extended school year program. The parents have been receiving those and sending those back. The majority of our students will be attending either the programs that are operated by the intermediate unit, and they are going to be located at Schick Elementary School in Loyalsock Township School District, as well as we'll have 2 students that are eligible to go to the programming at the South Academy in Williamsport for that programming. The next piece here is our special education plan. It is being considered by you tonight for approval, and the plan has been on our website now for the public review. And I just wanted to publicly thank those members of the steering committee for their input and assistance. This is a special education plan that encompasses all that we are planning to do within the special education department for the next 3 years. This is something that we have to do every 3 years and in terms of mapping out our plans. So thank you for the time from the special education steering committee for their input and assistance with the plan. And also the last thing that I have on here is I would like to thank Stephanie Lundy, who is a paraprofessional at Leiter Elementary School, and she will be retiring at the end of this school year. She has dedicated a lot of her time and energy to our students here in our district, and all the students that she has worked with have been very, very fortunate to have had you working with them. So thank you very much for your time and dedication for it.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Albert.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the fun stuff from Paul. So we had a 3 versus 3 basketball tournament that the students participated in after school and raised money for some funding of exciting things they want to do. So I want to thank a lot of staff who stayed after school that night and ran that and without a hitch. We also had a dance-a-thon that was put on by our PTO that helped raise money for field trips and things. So that was fun for the kids to be involved in that. So thank you everyone who contributed by donating funds for that. We also had our PBIS Rewards Day last week with the volleyball tournament by home rooms. So PBIS rewards those students who keep their behavior, attendance, and the devices that we all pay for so well, and take good care of those, so they get rewarded for those things through fun days. And thanks to the staff too for, they do a lot to organize that as well. So I think it's a good job.
And Mr. Nalpa. Nothing. All right, Mr. Blaze.
Before break, we had Mr. Stephen Courtney come. He's a musician out of Allentown. I've been on Sesame Street years ago, but he has multiple awards, and he was phenomenal. He did 2 separate shows, K1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and he rocked my multi-purpose room. Everybody loved him, kids loved him. And the cool thing about what he does is he kind of preached like being a good person, working hard, following your dreams, less screen time, and how important less screen time is. So he had a good message, and like I said, kids love him. He does a residency program, 6 separate occasions, comes up, writes some music with the kids. They record it, things like that. So it's the foundation, it's cool that we could chip that in to make that music program. Easter Bunny came, Wednesday before break, we had our spring activity day, kids played some games, had a good time. We have our PSA breakfast coming up, pancakes, syrup, sausage, apple pie. That's on the 22nd before PSA. So we're excited about that. I think Mrs. Smith hopefully will have some free time this month with Cav.
I like it.
Get the kids a little, to de-stress them a little bit when they start their test. And other than that, just field trips and we're rocking and rolling.
All right, thank you. Mr. Myers.
Well, like Mr. Johnson said, spring is here. I'm working on some of it amazingly as I'm coming over from the call today. And see the tennis team out. But you see softball field is packed and soccer and then the JV team's playing. They come over by later, they're playing a game and then sporting the track going on. So there's plenty of things going on. It's good to see our kids at all these. A shout out to Mrs. Quick and Mrs. Wojnowski, last Friday at the Arts Fest. I thought they had a wonderful presentation of projects and NCS and myself. Thank you to those two staff on that. Again, the performance of our student being full of students, Mr. Wright, Mr. Morgan, Ms. Burley, was fantastic. We have a team in the area, like John said, coming up here at high school for the school next week. And we're preparing for those wonderful PSA and still assessment, so we're in that process. So, again, we have 3 field trips planned right now. 5th grade going to Lake Tobias, 5th grade on the Cave, 7th grade on the state. So that's some working on it. So thank you for the community support.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl.
I do like when you reverse the window. A lot of my colleagues have covered so many. No, I'm just supporting those great kids that had a good time. The foundation is supporting an upcoming assembly for the kids. On May 14th, they're going to come over to the high school, both schools, and we actually have an author coming. He's worked together on the cat books, so it's a new experience and your presentation there for them. So we're looking forward to that because we've got an author in their process and how they, hopefully they inspire future authors in our classrooms right now. You never know. The Arts Fest was great. Good to see all the hard work our kids do on the creative side. Many that's their best way to explore, and express themselves. So lots of folks. I mean, I was here for a while. I'm making that early packed all night for free. So thanks for family and parents and grandparents, everybody coming up supporting that kids that way. Spring concerts coming up on Monday, May 13th over here in the auditorium, combining 4th grade again. So looking forward to they bring about. And then May 10th is our spring fling over at Lighter. So come on out and support the PTO, support those food trucks, the local vendors. So with that said, thanks a lot of our support staff members here. I don't think you're going to be considering approval of the next agreement. Thank you to all of them. We can't do what we do in the classroom for our teachers. In the office, I know everyone's sitting there, I can't do what I do without her. So, thank you to all of them for the hard work they do. A lot of the unsung heroes of our district, a lot of they're the folks who are not vocal, they don't often know they're there, but they make a big difference in our kids' lives and the staff as well. So thank you all for what you do. And especially Mrs. Montes. We spent a long time together. We started together at the Valley and we both eventually moved into Lighter together. So I won't say how many years, but let's put that for her grown daughter for girls back then. So one of them now teaches upstairs. So thanks for everything you've done. Our resource and person that is great in this, but we know she's looking for the next phase of life here, Grandma. So that's what's going on.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mr. T.
Finally, yeah, I just want to piggyback on Arts Fest. If you didn't get to that, the auditorium was packed. It was band's year to do an all district concert. which is 5 through 12. Next year, we have a problem because it's choral, which is 4 through 12. I want to squelch any rumors. It was suggested that we build a bigger auditorium. We are not building a bigger auditorium. Our focus is elementaries. And it was a fantastic evening. I loved it was a Friday night. And the place was packed with people enjoying both the visual arts and music. At that concert, it was announced that for the 8th consecutive year, NAM, which is the National Association of Music Merchants, named us a best community for music education, which says a lot about how far and now how recognized our music program is in the district. We're right there with the Williamsports, Loyal Sox, and Lewisburgs of the world in terms of music education. And that really is an entire community. That's parent support, running kids to practices and fundraising and everything else they do to make our music programs what they are. And if you've seen them on a Friday night dancing on the field, that explains everything that you need to know about how far we have come. So, we're running short on time. I won't go any further. We need to get to our business. I will remind you at 9 that we may need to invoke the extra 30. So
Ms. Overheim just reminded me too. So we're good. We got this area, whatever. We're all right.
we can.
Yes.
Last time we forgot.
Yep. Okay, so we will move on to general agenda items. Normally I would lump these together, but there's some pretty big ones in here. So if the board's okay, we'll go through this section individually. And if you have questions, we can have questions.
Yeah, we did.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. It's like an hour and a half ago, Mr. Farrar.
But very quickly.
Please,
It's right before budget.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what distracted.
please don't make me do it again. Here we go. All right. 7-1, approval of the following field trip requests from members of the professional staff. I'll take a motion to approve those.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? We're all ready to go. All right, hearing no questions, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. 7.2, approval of Montoursville Area High School summer programs pursuant policy board number 124. The 6-week program will run from June 10th, 2024 to July 26th, 2024. Take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have that as well. 7.3, approval of the special education plan for 2024 through 2027. Accepting motions. Questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. 7.4, approval of collective bargaining agreement between Montoursville Area School District and Montoursville Area Education Support Professionals Association, effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029. Accepting motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Congratulations.
I just want to thank the support staff. They had a rookie superintendent helping through that process. So it was a pleasure working with you guys on getting that done. And to Sharon and Tina, thank you. Absolute professionals through the whole process. So much appreciated and congratulations.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
Unsung heroes. Thank you very much. All right, 7.5, approval to renew the contract between Montoursville Area School District and the Nutrition Group under provisions option 2, July 1st, 2024 through July 30th, 2025. Accepting motions.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's exciting. 7.6, approval of proposed Lycoming Career and Technology Center 2024-2025 operating budget. Accepting motions. Motion. Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. Let's have that. 7.7, approval of agreement between Montoursville Area School District and Central Susquehanna IU 16 for student information software for the 2024-2025 school year at an enrollment estimated cost of $33,722. Accepting motions. Thank you. Need a second? Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. 7.8, approval of an agreement between Montoursville Area School District and the River Valley Regional YMCA. Accepting motions. Second, anybody? Ms. McCoy, thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I will abstain from this vote. 7.9, approval to establish a school activity club for the 2024-2025 school year for volleyball.
Second.
Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Good. All right, made it through that. Nice. All right, personnel. I feel like we can combine all these 8.1 through 8.4. So if you want to take a second, look at those unless anybody has any objections, we will do that. All right, we'll take motions to approve 8.1 through 8.4.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, questions, comments on any of those? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Moving on to section 9, academics. 9.1, approval of a request from Mr. and Mrs. Smith for enrollment and waiver of tuition of Beatrice Marcondes Chatini. Did I get that right? Probably not. Foreign exchange student from Brazil, the 2024-2025 school year. Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's great. All right, committee reports. My wingman is not here again tonight, so I'll run through this one here. PSBA, Mrs. Oberheim.
Nothing from PSBA.
All right, policy committee, Mrs. McCloy.
Now that we've approved the professional contract, Nikki and I will be meeting to update the policies that fall in line with that. So we'll.
Very well. Thank you much. IU, Mrs. Meyer.
So the big news out of the IU was the the secretary for the Department of Education recently visited our area, and the IU hosted him, and they went to Williamsport, they went out to the CTC and went up to Mansfield. So it was nice. Christina took him around, and it was a good representation of the area. So that was sort of big news that they had invited and that he came up to at least see what's going on in our little neck of the woods, and at least shine a light on all the good things happening up here, and was impressed with some of the co-op programs. I know was one of the things that came up. So it was good for them to come up and see that, you know, it doesn't always revolve around Philly and Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, and see all the good things that we're doing up here and sort of shine the light on our area. So it was very good that he came up and spent a few days in local spotlight.
That's great. Thank you. LCTC, Mr. Gardner. Mr. Eisenhower, we switched that, right?
Not too much news since last meeting. LCTC is currently looking, trying to get money to pay for expansion projects. So if anybody knows any businesses or wealthy individuals out there that like to contribute to a good cause for the future of our children,
They can come here first and
you
then.
get on lightcoastctc.org. That's all I have.
Right. All right, Memorial Gardens, Mr. Hausneck.
We're gonna have a meeting May sixth. Just to go over the finances and get the game plan going for May 18th. The Colonial, Memorial Garden will be all, leaves disposed of at new mulch. And Mrs. Tara is gonna have the key club do most of it.
Good. Great.
I will add, because of all the work they did in the last couple of years, it will be a lot easier to clean up than in the past. So I'm sure the Key Club members will be happy because they do it every spring and fall for us. So they put a lot of hard work into that.
All right, budget, Mrs. McCloy.
I'm gonna assume, Brandy, that Mr. House and I will be quickly before April 23rd.
So what? Is there certain things you'd like to go over? We can,
Okay.
if there's certain things you'd like to go over, but you need to get on my calendar rather quickly because I'm kind of filling up. And kind of with the budget, we go into, this is whole board budget planning. So it's less of the individual things, but if there's individual things that you'd like to look at, we definitely can. Okay.
All right, Montoursville Foundation, Mr. Young's not here. Mr. T.
They're working on their website and their spring, fundraiser.
Yeah. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Albert.
Nothing this evening.
All right. Extracurricular, I have nothing. Mr. Hausneck.
Just like Mr. Myers said, a lot of things going on. The weather last week kind of wreaked havoc with all of our sports teams. Boys and girls track team, both of them were 0-1 with the track meet tonight, so who knows there. The junior high soccer team lost tonight, so that even their record at 1-1. The varsity softball team is 2-1, and they were down at Mifflinburg tonight. The varsity baseball team is 3-0. JV baseball team is 1-0 with a game tonight. I was honored enough to be asked to be the clock runner for the Power Puff game, which the seniors demolished the juniors. It was an interesting game.
It was fun.
End of the season award for basketball for the boys, in the Heartland 2 conference. First team Quinn Rank from Montoursville, second team Bryce Everhart, honorable mention Wyatt Fry, and on the all defensive team Gavin Cott. So 4 or 5 starters made the team. In the Heartland 2 girls, Maddie Lamache was first team. Jill Strong was honorable mention, and Emily George was the all defensive team. So very well there. And just this past weekend, Gage Wenzel was the national runner-up in wrestling. And last but not least, the 8th grade boys team played in the state tournament. And the state tournament, in 8th grade alone, was 40 teams. 20 in the gold division, 20 in the silver division. The gold were bigger schools, and the silver was kind of all match schools. And our Montoursville team ended up playing 4 of the bigger schools. But we were runner-up state champs. We beat 2 teams outside of Pittsburgh, 2 teams outside of Philly, and then got beat right out there.
That's awesome. Wow.
For all of our kids, they
Good run.
represented Montoursville very well.
I agree. Thank you, sir. Safety and security, Mr. Young's not here. Mr. Eisenhower, I don't know if you have anything.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, all right. All right, moving on to the last public comment section of the night. Again, this is for residents and taxpayers make comments on matters and concerns, official action, and deliberating before the board. Again, this is comments only, no questions. Oh, just cut Jack.
Ron Snell, Lower Manor Road. I have a few things to comment on about the budget. Under the 500s, Brandy had stated that we don't have any control over the money in the 500s. But one thing she didn't say on the transportation, that the contract says under state formula, we pay our contractors over and above state formula. Another thing that the board needs to remember is LCTC renovations and additions, whatever is decided there is going to affect us also, because the schools that participate at LCTC have to pay for the renovations and additions, whatever they are. The deficit showing on the budget is a deficit that is due to keeping the revenues from the state at the 22 or 23, 24 revenues. The governor has stated that he plans on putting $1.1 billion in added funds into the schools, 500 schools. And two meetings ago, I talked to, after the meeting, Mr. Taramino and Brandy, and they both said that they have been told by their business, their groups, that you are going to see those increases. So that's not figured into the budget yet. And as far as taxes not being raised out of the last 15 years, they've only not been raised. It's either 3 or 4 years out of the last 15. And the last thing I have to say is, when Mrs. McCloy and Mr. Hausneck, the finance committee, meets with the Brandy, the business manager, that needs to be in a public meeting. Timed that just right.
Well done, Mr. Snell. It's like you've done it before. Thank you.
Yeah, Jack Callahan, 113 Arch Street. I want to say is, I mentioned that $6,000 that Bill Fry donated. That was the price of 2 cars, basically, back then in '62. And he wasn't the only one. PP&L, I didn't mention them. They had a lot to do with the lights, putting the lights, making them right, making everything right out there when they put not the new lights, or not the lights that are there. It's the old lights. And this volleyball, if they have to nickel dime, it's not going to work. I mean, it's a good idea, but I mean, you just need whatever and that, and I don't know. And we could have been on the bottom floor of this volleyball years ago, before anybody ever brought it up, before it was brought up for the schools at Williamsport, Loyal Sock, South Williamsport, you name it, schools from up north. We could, a friend of mine, he wanted to bring it to the table and he was squelched. you know, and that's what I say. I mean, you can't, it's a shame. I'd like to see this started for next year, see it get off the ground and, have them play a schedule. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna go. I mean, that's about it. I mean, and this, gymnastics, I don't know if we still have the equipment of the balance beam and, uneven parallel bars and, the horse and that, but, that stuff could be sold. I mean, Warrior Run just got done selling their stuff. I mean, it isn't much money, but I mean, it's better than having it around. I don't know if it's around, you know, they have it stored in the closets in the gym or not, but, there's something that could be sold. I don't know if anything else could be sold, but, stuff could be sold.
All right, thank Jack. Anyone else in the room? All right, seeing none, we'll go to Zoom. Okay, if you have a comment, please raise your hand. All right, we have no one in Zoom. Randy, you had something you want to add before we wrap it up?
I do. I have a few things here that I've been making notes on throughout this meeting. First, do I get 3 minutes? All right, I'll make it quick. I just want to say thank you to the board.
We are at 9 o'clock though, Brandy.
Right, so we got till 9:07.
We started 9:07. No.
Okay, so,
Chuck tried.
yeah. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you, to the board and, to nutrition and to Carrie sitting out there, for helping me get to this point. I think free meals for our students is going to be great. We have a lot of work now ahead of us to make this happen, but we now know that we have the district's support behind that. And thank you all for making that happen. And I think it will really benefit our kids moving forward. Also want to say with the art festival, it was awesome here Friday night, and our teaching staff working really well with our custodians and maintenance. I did have the opportunity of talking with some custodial and maintenance staff, and they said how much fun it was, and the teachers and the students were a great help to them. So thank you to the teachers and the staff and everyone that worked so hard to make that successful, because everyone enjoyed it from what I'm seeing. I also wanted to say thank you for allowing me to bring another exchange student here. She is very excited, especially since we just got the music award again. She is attending currently a university in Brazil that focuses on the musics. So she is very excited to be coming to Montoursville next year. And I will just remind the board that when we covered revenues, I explained to you how we did the budget process. And I just wanted to bring that back out to everyone. We always budget revenues based on what we are getting until the budget at the state level is passed. We cannot count on any money before it's passed. And as stuff is passed, we update it. So as push to have your budget passed, your state budget passed, we can't count on things before it's there. So I did want to remind you of that. And we can meet the two of you as a group and discuss budget things. I can meet with you and discuss budget things. I do not have to meet in public if we don't have a quorum. So I can meet with any board member and discuss budgets. That's what we're allowed to, as long as we do not have a quorum. It's not an official budget committee meeting. We have an official budget committee meeting, then yes, we need to. But that's why I say we have it here as a committee of the whole when we're going through it, so that we all know what's going on in the budget. And anyone wants to get into more detail with me, just get on my calendar and we'll make it happen. So that is all I have. Thank you all for your hard work tonight.
All right, thank you, Brandy. All right, I will now accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor? Aye, all
Aye.
opposed? Nobody, all right, thank you very much, everyone.
Last update, three guys.
Timer, Brendan. Do not smoke your.
Last.
You're yelling at me.